All right, then. So coming up next, well, this conversation. So what a time it was yesterday, as a matter of fact, with that downtime. Who would have believed the kind of apprehension that generated?
Not a
That's
small
next.
one, no doubt. Not
Yep.
a small one.
There you go.
Three billion people were affected by that exercise. And guess what? That's the second time in the year. And is that the question a number of people are asking is, oh dear.
I thought you said 3 billion and I'm one of those people.
Well, of course. And so is our guest this morning, Adedoye Adedeji. He's an IT professional. Thanks for joining us this morning. Well, small business owners, all of their staff are on WhatsApp. All of their customers are on the social media, Instagram, and all of that. First of all, not as a professional, as an entrepreneur, how did that hit you?
Okay, yeah, incidentally, most of us do our business on WhatsApp these days.
Exactly.
And as at yesterday night, I wasn't even aware, as in for like an hour, I wasn't aware it was done because I was working. So, but I got calls from different people asking that, oh, I sent this file to you on WhatsApp and it's not, so I was like, probably your network and all that. So it took a while before I was like, oh, come on. I couldn't check for updates. I went on Instagram. I realized that there were like issues and all the errors and all that. So it just in the space of an hour plus, I started getting calls from people. They were like, oh, is it that the Nigerian network is down? Because for a lot of people, for some of us, we know that it's probably a global issue. But for a whole lot of other people, they actually thought it was a national thing. Or maybe the national internet was down, and I could sense a bit of panicking among a number of people. So I think it actually shows that how much our lives have been embedded into technology.
Okay,
really.
let's go to the nitty-gritty. From your experience as an IT professional, exactly what happened, and what are the implications?
Well, so far, we are just getting some of the information about what exactly happened because they've done a number of press releases in the last few hours to state some of the things that might have happened. But so far, I think usually when we have huge companies like this that have huge followership, they make a portion of the internet, let me put it that way. Because, I mean, a large portion of the global internet network is controlled by these big tech companies. So along the line, things do happen, whereby sometimes it cascades into some of their servers, some of their data centers and all that. So which can lead to things like this. So for now, they might not give us the full scope of what could have happened, but I think it's one of the longest downtime they've had in a long time. They've had downtimes in the past, but I think it's one of the longest and probably it's one of the most disruptive that we've had. Yeah.
Well, what they said on the Facebook engineering page is their engineering team learned that configuration changes on the backbone routers that coordinate network traffic between the data centers caused issues that interrupted this communication. It's a lot of English.
Yeah.
If you can decrypt it for us.
Okay, now, like I said, these big tech companies have their own portion of the internet because, like we as the regular users, we have to connect to this servers, for example. Now, across the globe, there's what we call the internet backbone, which is, for example, optic fibers that are linking to data centers across the world. So now, some of these data centers, they are situated in a position where they are linked by optic fiber to different continents and all that. Now, just by making a configuration mistake with one data center can cause all this problem because these data centers are actually linked together. So if it's not connected properly, that's via networking. If it's not connected properly, probably use the wrong IP address or something, this could trigger a whole lot of other errors. So it's very possible that it's likely a configuration issue that led to this. But then
that's actually what they said on their faulty configuration issue.
But what happened is, the question we should be asking is, how do Facebook get it so wrong? For a company that runs a huge company like that, how did they get it so wrong? Because I mean, you can't afford to be down for that long, meaning that it's actually a huge problem for them to actually fix. So the question would be that because for things like this to happen, there should have been a chain of authorization. So the question was that during that chain of authorization, how did this scale of problem happen?
Well, you know, there's been, sorry about that, Chimney. There's been some controversy around Facebook as an organization over the years, and there are those who are also alluding that, hey, we just had an interview maybe about 24 hours, and then this happened. Do you see any correlation? There are those who are saying there is no correlation. There are those who say that's the root cause.
Well, I don't think there is, because I don't think the two issues are really related, because I think the initial issues that they've had in the last few weeks is always the issue of internal operations of Facebook as it is. Now, it could be related in terms of probably trying to take out some of the informations that might be incriminating. I don't know, but nevertheless, I think I won't consider them related, in the sense that they are two separate things entirely. What happened yesterday was purely a technical issue. So it really has nothing to do with the scandals and the internal memos that were being leaked about Facebook and Instagram and all that. So I really don't think there's really a link. But nevertheless, it doesn't look well for them too at this stage, where there's a lot of eye on them, for them to have a huge downtime like this. It doesn't look well for them. So I don't think there's a real link.
So what is I mean, different countries will view this as a national security matter for them. What do we need to put in place back home here to ensure we, ramp up our own, ecosystem here, that IT ecosystem, and get it to that world-class standard wherein we can even have our own system of, all of this messaging here?
I think it goes back to some of the issues we've had, infrastructure. If we had the right infrastructure, for example, it's very difficult for us to run a data center in Nigeria. Now, some of these things...
You say it's difficult?
Yes, it's quite difficult. Yeah, majorly because of infrastructure. We are talking about light, we are talking about security. If you want to build a data center, they are quite expensive and very delicate. So, I mean, you don't want to build a data center, for example, somewhere, let's say in Ogun State, for example, and tomorrow they tell you the flood is coming, and I mean, there's no way for you to control that.
Well, talking about electricity, the question Chamberlain asked would definitely have come on this show. But talking about electricity, there are communities in this country that haven't had a power outage for a minute in the past 10 years or more. If we are really serious about setting up a data system like that, electricity infrastructure shouldn't be so much of a challenge, given that it is something that has been done, not can be done, has been done in the country.
Yeah, the thing is, yes, that could be the case, but then have to, if you want to be the data center, that means they have to be the off-grid power system, probably solar-based or this thing. But then you can't rely on the national grid as it is right now. If you want to be the data center in Nigeria, I won't advise you to run on the national grid as it is right now. Yes, there are some centers, there are some places that have very stable network. But what we are talking about, why I said that data centers are very, very sensitive, is that what happened on Facebook will be a child's play if the power system in your data center goes disrupted. It means that you have to start a whole lot of other, like it cascades into a lot of other things. So number one is infrastructure is always an issue. And if we say, okay, let's take out power, we also have to look at security. We have to look at road network. How do you transport these things? You have to look at even how to even bring in the servers in the first place into the country. How do you get them into the country in the first place? Because, I mean, you have to deal with customs, you have to deal with all that. So I think there's a whole lot of bottleneck that is around all these things that we can put out once and for all. But I think the way to go is to start investing in local capacity development, meaning that we need to tell people, we need to be able to bring people to start building the nitty-gritty of technology. Meaning, for example, we don't have to be consumers of technology. We also need to build our own from the ground up. So we don't have to just, for example, we use mobile phones, we have Android phones. Do we have anybody or do we have any company within the country that can manufacture a phone from ground up? They are not even saying that maybe the panels or the screen and all that. Like for the whole country, we don't even have like a company that produces its mobile phone, talk less of softwares. Okay, we have very fantastic software developers across the country, but most of them work remotely for offshore companies. So because it's easier, I mean, it makes more sense if you're a software developer to work from, or that's remotely for a foreign company from here. So the optics are not are not much in our favor for now, until number one, we start compensating our technology professionals properly, like the way they are compensated abroad. And also, people would like to work from here and stay here if they are paid well.
So, can we actually do that, given the economic situations there and here?
Yeah, we are seeing a bit of that already. We are seeing, like, for example, some of the growth we've seen in the fintech industry.
Yeah.
I mean, the fintech industry is doing quite well in terms of technology and growth. They are doing quite well. But then we still need to. Most of all these things are still built on certain infrastructure. Because if you look at even most of the fintech
infrastructure
companies,
here?
No. Infrastructure abroad. They are running fintechs here, but most of the infrastructures are not entirely here, really. Okay, so they are built on infrastructures in probably US and UK and all that. So,
and that's not for lack of capacity. It's just for lack of infrastructure.
Yes.
Now, that's also not to remonstrate the potential. Perhaps it's a good opportunity for us to talk about the fact that the federal government was talking about the digital economy. We have quite a vast one here, okay? If we understand the potential, is it so difficult for the federal government to take a lead on this?
Well, I think we also need to look back a bit into history. One of the things we've learned over time is that the Nigerian government is always slow with technology, and that's the truth. Across the government sectors. I mean, something as simple as, let's just take even our close community, for example. Let's talk about security. We still struggle to even put surveillance in place. Not even to talk, let's get cameras, let's put cameras in place, let's have surveillance centers. Something as simple as just pure surveillance. We still find it very difficult to set it up. So I think the issue is that we need to rely on the private sector ultimately, because some of the best tech talents that we have across the country, or that have probably been shipped across the country, they are essentially from the private sector. So I think what we need to do is to empower the private sector more. Rather than government putting more rope around their neck and trying to squeeze more tax from them. So,
well, if only we'll learn lessons from these kind of things, and then because right there, there's opportunities right there. I mean, huge ones concerning what transpired yesterday. So we hope that it will not just pass us by. But thank you always for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Let's look at